I don't know why, but now I want to try some Jamaican rum. Hello balances, my name is Daidarius and welcome to the review of Luke Cage Season 2. So Luke Cage Season 2 takes place sometimes after the Defenders and Season 1, and Luke Cage is now fighting a war against drugs and Mariah Stokes, or Mariah Dillard as she calls herself. She's trying to legalize her business so she can put the criminal life behind her, but an old foe that we don't know of but the Stokes do arrives at Harlem and starts to bring the body counts up because this person's wants something extremely bad and Mariah Stokes or Dillard is in the way and a lot of innocent people are caught in the middle. So now it's up to Luke Cage to try to find out what the hell is going on and put a stop to it. That is this season summed up as roughly and quickly as I can, because a lot of things is going on in this season, and that is to its advantages and disadvantages, because not everything is quite good in this season, unfortunately. Now what I like about the season is the villain, because in the former season we had one good villain, which was Cottonmouth, we had one bad villain, which was Mariah Stokes, and we had one terrible villain, which was Diamondback. So it is nice to see some new great addition to the roster, especially since that one of the main villains is still Mariah Stokes, and she is not good in this season either. However, the new villain Bushmaster is amazing, or that might be a bit too strong a word to use, but he is great. First of all, he has an interesting backstory. Once you see what happened to him and his motivation to do the terrible things that he does, you kind of get on his side. Yes, you don't agree with his methods, but you understand the reasoning behind it. Then mixed in with the fact that he is a force to be reckoned with. He doesn't stop. He keeps moving. He terrifies Mariah Stokes. He terrifies every criminal mind in Harlem because his methods is brutal and effective. And that mixed in with the fact that he can go toe to toe with Luke Cage means that now we have an opposing threat that is opposite of what Luke Cage is. He's a better fighter, he's more efficient, and he are ready to take the choices that Luke Cage cannot make. Means that he is the right ingredient in this series to make it interesting. Otherwise you will have a bulletproof invulnerable man who can't be stopped, who's just having a bit of a hard time taking down crime. Well, here there's someone who can actually fight him on equal grounds, and every time he is on scene I am delighted because we know that something interesting will happen. Another thing I like about the season is that they're getting better at the crossovers. There are some crossovers from the other series, just the way that they integrate them are better done in this series. But, and here is a but, some of the motivations to make the crossovers are not the best. They do flow naturally, but the motivations behind it are clunky, and I'm gonna get back to that later. And then there is the Harlem aspect of it. I really liked when a series managed to really show you the city it is established in, and more importantly makes you feel like you are part of that city. Luke Cage makes you feel like you are part and live in Harlem. So whenever something bad happens in Harlem, you feel for them, you feel it yourself. It doesn't mean that they always pull this off, but for the most part they do make you feel like you belong in Harlem, like those are you bros, your homies, your brethren, your fellow gangsters. And then the last thing is that there is one now you know what, I'm gonna save this one for later. So what didn't I like about this season? Well, first of all, the dialogue. Oh shit, that dialogue. Okay, you know those scenes where dialogue is just flowing naturally, everyone says something that you think a character of that caliber would say and makes a lot of sense, and expositions come in a natural way. They don't just dump exposition on you so you, the viewer, understand what's going on. No, they dump the exposition so it makes sense for the characters involved in the conversation. You know those scenes? You won't find them in here. Oh shit, the dialogue is bad. Well, it's not bad all the time. There are some natural dialogue in the season, but especially when you are on the police station with Mercedes, that's this girl here, or woman I will say, the dialogue is clunky as fuck, especially when she interacts with her colleagues. Wow! It seems like there have been two writing the dialogue in this series. The one who took on the police dialogue and then the one who took on the rest. It's just bad. It takes you out of the scene every time they open their mouth. And also the dialogue that Chase and Mariah Dillard has is just... It's not good. And then there are the motivations behind the characters. And I know I just praised Bushmaster as his motivations being awesome and all what I wanted from the series, but then there's everyone else, especially the side characters. Shades and one of Mercedes' colleagues. The motivation is just vague. It's not really there, and it's not like they want to make it a mystery so the person seems more than just a one-dimensional character and you will get some hints to what the motivations are later on and then it will make sense. No, they just do stuff that doesn't make any sense. And I can't keep wondering, why do you feel the need to put those weird motivations in these characters just to make the plot move along? And sometimes it's not even that, it's just to make some characters seem better, in a better light than these scumbag characters. So that's the reason why you make these scumbag characters has shitty motivation just to make these characters shine. But since their motivations is shitty, these characters doesn't get to shine because of their shitty choices. Does that make sense? And since we are on, shitty motivation, let's talk about Luke Cage. Luke Cage is not really defined in this season. He was defined in season 1 because that's where he learned to accept being a hero and doing his lifting to make Harlem a safer place. But here, I don't know what's going on actually. Luke Cage is just present. It's just a figure who's walking around in Harlem being bulletproof and doing stuff, but you don't really get to know him as Luke Cage. There's nothing there. There's something there. There's a relationship between him and Night Nurse and him and his dad that is kind of just thrown in there, I believe, to make Luke Cage more compelling, since they understood that they had nothing on him. I don't know, but everything that defines Luke is just thrown out the window because they want to make a character arc in this series, but it's not really present. It's just some bumpy points that you get to. So first he's like this, then later on when nothing changes, he's suddenly like this, and you just sitting there and go, I think I missed something here. It's just not good when you haven't defined the main character really and just saying, well, he's just like he was before, except when we changed him. But you're not gonna see that, but that's not important. You know, those CSI or criminal investigation series that just bloomed in the early zeros? Is that what we call them? 2000 to 2010, that period. They were shot in a particularly bad and told in a particularly bad and acted in a particularly bad way. You know, that definitive weird shots told series. Just go ahead and look up any of those series. Just take a scene and you will find that most of it just doesn't feel like a lot of effort have been put into making those scenes flow better. And I know some might say, well, this is their favorite series or these scenes were spectacular. Yes, but the majority of it just was bad. Maybe in the perception of the series, the first couple of seasons, the series was actually well done. But I have noticed that in the later seasons, it is not so good. Now, why do I bring this up? Well, most of this season feels like that, unfortunately. There are exceptions, but it is mostly when we are dealing with the police and when Mercedes is just interacting with Luke Cage. it's just bad. And it's really hard to pinpoint what exactly makes it feel like this, but it's just that the shots doesn't feel planned out. They just chose a camera angle and just went with it without thinking what the cinematography would tell the audience. And as I pointed out earlier on, the dialogue is clunky as fuck. And here's the last thing. The acting for the most part is not good. There are some okay moments, mostly okay moments, but there are a lot of bad acting, especially Mariah Stokes' character, or her actress, and Mercedes' woman colleague, her actress. They don't portray their characters very well. Actually, they portray them extremely bad. Their acting is horrendous. And that doesn't mean that they don't know how to convey the feelings and the emotions of these characters. It's just that it comes off cartoonish, teenager, high school cheerleader, bitchy, or it's just some bad defining character moments which rotates back to, you know, this shitty characterization moderation thingy. I hated every scene I saw with Mariah Stokes. I hated every scene I saw with Mercedes' colleague. But, and here's the but, there is one scene that is not good acted. It is extremely well acted. It is extremely well shot and told to the audience. This scene goes on for, I think, 5, maybe 10 minutes. I don't know. I didn't time it. But you will know the scene when you see it. It is just two actors. They are just having a conversation, or more like a silent fight. There's no music. There's no noise. It is just these two acting and reacting to each other. And my jaw hit the floor throughout this scene because, in my opinion, it was perfectly done. The only bummer is that it kind of feels off in this season, since the rest of it is, at best, mediocre acted. If we could have had that scene's quality flow into everything else, this season might have been the best season of any Marvel Netflix series. Unfortunately, we didn't got that. But I need to praise this scene because, wow! And I'm pretty sure you will know what scene it is once you see the series. If you're sitting there thinking, is this the one? No, it isn't. It isn't. You won't be in doubt once you see it. So what you end up with is a mixed bag. This season tried to fix what the other season failed on, which was the Diamondback split storyline. And also it wants to make the Harlem storyline move forward in a new interesting direction. They kind of managed to do that, but unfortunately a lot of the things that happens with the crime lords or crime organizations and Luke Cage and what he's trying to accomplish kind of gets lost in translation. For me, I need to review this season multiple times to really grasp on what happened at the end. Also, the ending is interesting, to say the least. But again, there are some character changes that I think comes out of nowhere because they haven't really shown the road to there. If you want to do a good character arcs, just set the beginning point and the end point, and then gradually throughout the season get to that point. Don't just make it sudden. Oh, well, and also stupid me. Also like the soundtrack. You know, the first season had amazing, smooth soundtrack. This season, not as much, but still introduces you to a lot of smooth music, and I appreciate that. So I like the Harlem Paradise. I really do. Yeah, I have nothing else to say for it. I don't have any jokes. I just like the soundtrack. So with all this combined, I am a bit split on what to rate this season. Because on one hand, I think it managed to pull a lot of things off, progressing the storyline with Luke Cage and his situation and placement in Harlem. But on the other hand, it just didn't really manage to get anywhere. It didn't manage to evolve Luke. It didn't manage to evolve his friends or the other cast. And it was just a standstill and filler to the next Defenders. So when you take these two things and smash them together, what do you get? I don't know. But I need to rate this season. So, I'm just gonna go with my gut. I will say that Luke Cage Season 2, you should catch it on Netflix. My experience. At least it's better than Iron Fist Season 1, you know. So there you have it. And I know it is lower ranking than what I made the Iron Fist, but yeah, that's, you know, time changes. Is this worse than the Iron Fist Season 1? No. Far from it. It does have a lot to show, but it's just a mess really, and kind of bums me out because I know the talent is there to make this a great series, but they haven't really figured out what they want to do with the Luke himself, just the world. Let's hope that season 3 will be a lot better. Yay! So, Luke Cage season 2, have you seen it? What do you think about it? And how do you think it ranked among the other Marvel Netflix series of seasons? And don't count in Daredevil season 1 because that's teased, because we all know that's the best one. So, whatever you think, comment below and read your thoughts. And as always, until I see you in the next video, remember to stay awesome! Bye! So, since he is bulletproof, you know, has he ever thought of going to the military? Or being a bodyguard? He's gonna be a bodyguard.